Welcome back. In our previous video, we did the project owner, which kind of validates documentation, aligns and makes sure your architect document aligns with your UI UX and your PRD and your brief to see if there's any gaps in your overall project and kind of validates it all. And in our previous thing of our project owner, it kind of showed some gaps that we had. So it helped us create a deployment checklist, rollback procedure, and a testing strategy. But as you can see, a lot of these documents that we've created are quite lengthy. And if you try and feed one of these into an AI model, it's going to probably overwhelm it. Like when you say that you want to create a front end, most people would try and drag all this in there and then have it try and create the front end. But that would use up so much of your context when like 80% of it would just be in storing your documentation. It's not a very effective way. So instead, the best way to kind of do things, going back to our user guide, is to shard the documents. So after we did our project owner, we want to shard the documents, which means it's going to break down or break up this architecture document into smaller pieces, which we're then going to feed to the Scrum Master, which is going to create epics and stories and sprints, which are going to hand off to your developer agent, which will go ahead and do all the development. But if you try and feed all this to your developer, it's going to get overwhelmed and not be able to build anything. So that's why we're going to kind of do the breaking down into shards and then handing it over to the Scrum Master. So let's go over breaking these documents up. So to do a sharding of a document, usually that's under the project owner. After we do the at project owner MD help, gives us the option to shard documents. So we're going to do at project owner shard doc, and then we can drag over our architecture. And let's go ahead and let that run. So you can see here, it's doing a plan on how it's going to shard all the documents, how to break it all to smaller bits and pieces, so that in the future we can hand it off to other agents and not have to load this enormous file, but only grab what it needs. So it's creating an index now of all the different files and their sections. So it's sharding them off, as you can see here on the left side. It's going to shard them off into smaller pieces. It can take this architecture and break it down into that. As you can see, it's creating lots of files from that architecture MD to smaller files. Introduction, high-level architecture. You can see it's broken down to a lot of different files here. You can actually see them all over here on the left side. As you can see, it took that really giant architecture file that we have, and it broke it down into lots of smaller files over each of kind of the different sections, so that when we talk to the Scrum Master, which is going to break this project down into epics, stories, and sprints, that it doesn't have to reference all of this stuff. If it's working on a database portion, it will only grab the markdown files of that. So it will only use the necessary markdown files, so it's not trying to load all of this information when it's trying to write a story or write a particular part of development. So it helps you save a lot on your context windows, so you're not using all this. Like as you can see right now, I'm using close to 21% because I'm loading all of these documents. But as you see in the next section, when we go to the Scrum Master, it's going to write down different sprints and epics that just grab in exactly the right context from each of these markdown files, so you're not trying to load all of this and overwhelm your context window. And see you in the next video.